Like in these major cities,
Right.
they post their lifestyles, and I'm like, how are you paying? And I'll look at their TikToks, and I've been on TikTok before they kicked me, and I wasn't making more than $5,000 a month, and I had 1 million followers on there. So I'm like, they can't be making that much money. Oh, wait. Okay, actually, I'm going to pause that because we have a special guest coming on. We have a special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Cappy.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, cool. Because you're coming in robotic-y, so I don't know if it's me or you, but I am traveling, so it's there's a good chance it's me.
I can hear you fine. I maybe will ask the chat
Okay.
if it's but so I was doing a show on societal trends, guys, and I wanted Cappy to come on and tell me how many women are engaging in sex work because I've tried to calculate the number myself and they keep telling me it's too high, the number and I'm not the best at math, so I'm like I very well could be wrong.
Well, let's first not worry about the math because it's going to be simple division. But what is your methodology? Let's start with that, and we'll see if that has veracity. We'll go from there.
Do you know what? I think at the time there was a TikTok I did. And I was on the show and I just calculated the number of women that were in Gen Z. And then the number
Okay.
then I looked at the number of OnlyFans workers and I asked what percent were under 25 and it was like 80%. And then I took that and I was like,
Okay.
let me divide that by the number of women that are in Gen Z. And that was and I got
Oh,
like I got like that was how I did it and that was just OnlyFans. Um that and I did it live on the show, but I can't remember. Somebody told me I was wrong. And so I was like, oh, let me just bring Cappy on. He's smarter than me. So
well, I like your the logic in it, but what percent of OnlyFans women are Americans versus globally?
oh, I looked at
See,
that
that's going to be
too.
the hard one. Oh, okay. So
I
you
looked
did
at that
account for, so we're
too.
looking
Yeah.
so we're looking at American OnlyFans girls
Yes.
divided by the Gen Z population. That's pretty good. I would say OnlyFans isn't relegated to under 25, but I mean it's a pretty good start. So do you remember what your numbers were?
Hold on. I don't off the top of my head, but I can get 1.4 million on OnlyFans because I think that was the number. Oh, here, this was the reel that went viral. They put like someone put some music in the background, so it made it more dramatic. Okay, wait.
Was it the sad music?
Yeah, they did. They did. Million women in America do OnlyFans. 1.2 million is between 18 and 24. What percent of women, how many women in America are between 18 to 24? I find out roughly 10 million women. So just on OnlyFans alone, 10% of women in that age group are on OnlyFans. So there's only 10 million women between 18 to 25. Then I decided to think more about the consumers. Who is consuming OnlyFans? And I found out that 82 million American men subscribe to OnlyFans. So that was how I did the math.
Okay, so let's just assume intellectual honesty, your numbers are correct, like you didn't have any ulterior motives, and you're coming in around 10%.
I just Googled it. So it very well could have been maybe the number. I don't know. But yeah, that's what I did.
So now, if do you remember the guy who did a similar such study? I think his methodology was a little different. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and he estimated that 10% of all college girls are on OnlyFans or some kind of gratuitous site like that. Do you remember that at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So the point is he came up with a 10% figure too. I'd have to double check and look at it, but if I recall correctly, it's 10%. So now you got two data points with, some rough math pointing at 10%. In other words, it corroborates what you came up with on your own.
Vindicated.
I'm not, well, I don't know if you're 100% vindicated because, there's statistics, and then there's damn lies, but when you come up with these ballpark figures, right? And we could say, oh well, not every woman on OnlyFans is between this and that. You already accounted for that because you said 80% were under 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
We could say, well, it's more like maybe 8%. All right, let's just err on the side of caution and say 5%. 1 in 20 women are on OnlyFans of a dating, courtship, marrying age, 18 to 35. Let's just say you're definitely between 5 and 10% now.
So, because I was trying to figure out how could you calculate what percent of women have done soft prostitution? Because it like
Okay,
OnlyFans is one thing, and I couldn't figure out how I would figure out what percent of women have done like on Instagram. There's a lot of soft prostitution, but it's not public, right?
right.
So you can't get that.
Okay,
And then my other question, what about sugar dating? Like in these major cities,
right.
they post their lifestyles, and I'm like, how are you paying? And I look at their TikToks, and I've been on TikTok before they kicked me, and I wasn't making more than 5 grand a month, and I had a million followers on there. So I'm like, they can't be making that much money unless they're selling something else. Or
How
they were
much
better
they
than me. I
how
don't
much
know. Like, go ahead.
right. Here's what always helps if you're going to try and tackle these kind of socioeconomic statistics, which aren't hard and fast science and math like engineering. You really got to define your terms. So what would qualify as prostitution, right? I know paying someone to have sex, that's obviously prostitution. Our foodie dates prostitution. Is digital pictures through OnlyFans, is that considered prostitution? Is a sugar
As most of you know, I have been fighting on the front lines of the simp epidemic for years, but I need to tell you about a quiet weapon being ratcheted up against men that is rarely talked about. It's not just the relentless anti-masculinity propaganda and OnlyFans hoes causing the societal issues that we discuss on this show. Did you know that the average city's tap water contains trace pharmaceuticals and endocrine disruptors? This often includes estrogen from birth control. The average adult consumes a credit card worth of plastic every single week. That's 5 grams of plastic a week on average. So it's no wonder that the average male's testosterone is half of what the average was 50 years ago. Testosterone levels decline 1% a year, and without a course correction, we are headed towards extinction. No matter how based you are, you need to be naturally boosting your testosterone. My friends at Chalk, CHOQ.com, are on a mission to save mankind from extinction by boosting your vitality. Chalk's Male Vitality Stack contains premium and potent herbs clinically studied to naturally boost your testosterone levels, sperm count, and overall vitality. Just one of the many ingredients in the Male Vitality Stack was studied in double-blind human clinical trials to boost total testosterone 20% in 90 days. When you boost your testosterone, you'll have more mental clarity, you're more capable of making decisions and taking risks. Having high testosterone will also affect your pheromones, so women will find you more attractive subconsciously. Get the Chalk Male Vitality Stack right now on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. Use my name Pearl as your coupon code and you'll get 25% off site-wide on chalk.com. That's CHOQ.com. My name Pearl is the discount code.
So let's define our terms. All right. If you want to go and get the actual percent of women who engage in actual legally defined prostitution, you could probably go do some research on police reports or the FBI, crime statistics, and all that. I think for the purposes of the conversation, we need to define what prostitution is, where it's a transactional relationship, where someone pays someone else for, would you consider romance and affection prostitution?
You're so funny.
Would you, let me ask you this. Do you remember there were dime dates or dime dances? Do you remember dime dances? I mean, you weren't around. Do you remember dime dances where you paid a woman a dime and she danced with you? This is back in the 1920s.
No, I did not know about that.
Well, and is a foodie date prostitution. So, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. Every transaction, every relationship is transactional, whether it's labor, work, friends, or all that. And I applied the same standard to romantic and sexual relationships. Yes, both people have to commit their time. Let's remove the time and look at what's happening between money and services. Usually almost always it's the men paying for women for some form of affection. Doesn't even have to be sex. It could just be attention, affection, or whatever. And when you look at that, that is a transactional relationship. And unless you actually find people who are genuinely in love, where the woman just adores the guy, it's almost invariably transactional. And so I would say, and I've said it before, nearly every guy in the United States is a John, and nearly every woman in the United States is the lady of the evening, if you want to call it that. But is that so wrong? Because in the olden days, I get a kick out of people. Like, let's say I go pay a girl $500 to have sex with me. Oh man, Aaron, you're a loser. You're a scumbag. You couldn't get it. Da, da, da. But if I pay a woman a $10,000 wedding ring and then I give her alimony and settlement and all that, and she has sex with me for 20, oh well, that's love. See, that's love. That's romance. See,
So,
what?
okay, I'll tell you what. So for me, it's just a little weird how embracing we're starting to get of open sex workers. I
Mhm.
understand that, like, okay, you could argue that marriage is the same thing when women rob the men and they're kind of paying for. I get the argument, but
Mhm.
for me, there's just something weird about like having a woman running for Congress that used to have like an open cam site. I don't know why it feels different. Maybe it's the woman in me where I'm like, this just feels different. But it's like strange.
Well, it is different. I mean,
Yeah,
it's great. I mean, but go
okay.
back 50 years, you didn't have digital stuff, right?
Yeah.
But is it not, and what are men paying for? Men are usually paying for some either sex outright or a derivation of sex or derivative of sex.
Mhm.
It could be attention, it could be nudes or whatever. And it's up to I guess the individual. Is that really classical prostitution? I think you missed the more philosophical point. Do men pay for women? I don't mean like taking care of them, but do you pay to have women spend time with you, whether that's romance, sex, digital pictures, and all that? So, what is the? Are you trying to say this is the percentage of women who like strippers? There's another perfect
Well,
example.
yeah.
Is that prostitution or what? I would like to simplify it and just say, are men paying for some kind of sexual service? And the vast majority of instances, the answer is yes. And the vast majority of women are providing those things.
Yeah, so my general point was that I just see a societal trend of sex workers used to be more taboo, and
Hmm.
now they're being accepted into public offices and positions where like there's a tennis player who just dropped an OnlyFans and she's like actively competing with us like new selling nudes. And
Hmm.
I grew up in the sports community and like that wasn't really you just couldn't do that when I was growing up, but now it's like okay. So I'm just wondering if it's getting accepted and normalized. It makes me wonder what percent of women are participating in some way that it's gotten to that point outside of I wouldn't really put marriage in the same category, even though philosophically, like, you could argue it is.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's more of my question.
Well,
Because
I think obviously it's more because there's more avenues, more venues. It's also more socially accepted.
yeah,
I would say no more, no less. It's always been this way between the sexes. But in terms of what you're trying to find out, like, is it becoming more socially acceptable? Yes. I would almost say it's kind of it's always been that way. It's just that we're more forthright about it and accepting. I don't know. I'm sure most fathers would prefer to keep their daughters off the stripper pole. But you're absolutely right. It is there are more ways for you to safely become a sex worker because digitally you're not meeting these people. It is becoming more accepted just because the internet alone is how a lot of people socialize. Internet pornography has been universal since what 25 years ago or so. So I don't even know if it's necessarily bad. It maybe is just America or different countries in the West and maybe the world saying, yeah, this happens. Yeah, we got to pay for this. Yeah, guys paying for Playboy, I would say is on par with guys paying for OnlyFans. So I don't know if it's bad. I know you probably don't want to, unless women come with a heavy dose of financial management courses where they know to save the money while they're making it. that'd be okay. Like, okay, at least make some money and save because your youth is going to go away, and then maybe you have yourself a good degree in accounting on the side. So when you get older, it's relatively new, simply because the internet, generationally speaking, is relatively new. So there might be some problems where your reputation, it's definitely going to hurt marriage. Like, what, you're an OnlyFans girl? No, you get out of here. But I don't know. I think it's always kind of been there. And now the internet and society and culture have kind of, at one time it was shameful to be gay. And now most everybody is kind of accepting of gay people. So I think this is just accepting, I guess, women's nature and men's nature
Yeah.
more.
Do you know what? I actually don't think OnlyFans is going to be a deterrent unless they had sex on camera. I don't, it's weird. And the reason I say this is because when I was at the UFC gym, like interviewing guys there, now you could argue this is because they're under, like, they're kind of in a weird industry, right? That's not really like
Mhm.
normal people. But I was asking the guys there if they would date a girl with an OnlyFans if it was 5 years ago and it was just nudes. And the majority said yeah. And I was like, holy shit, these are guys with like choice, you know? Like, it's not their only choice. And if they're accepting it, I'm like, and I think it's because most OnlyFans girls fail. So it's not like, you know what I mean? There's so much stuff on the internet.
Right. And it is a trend. It is happening. We could talk about the efficacy and whether it's a viable alternative to traditionalism, like getting married or even just getting a job. But it's not. It just isn't. Most of you only girls fans, you fail. You're just not going to make the money. Um, and I also think men's expectations have changed because, like, yeah, I'll take an OnlyFans girl because we kind of grew up with it. And what else am I going to choose? I mean, let's also admit OnlyFans girls tend to be hotter.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say this: the quality and caliber of women in terms of marriage has just gone to piss. That is true, but maybe society right now doesn't want marriage. Women certainly don't want it. Men are kind of backing away from it as well because they look at the quality and the caliber. So it may be that, yeah, this definitely ruins. And like, let's say there is a guy, well, I did OnlyFans once. Or it's like, all right, so you're willing to do that, right? It already is kind of like, like it's so. But if you look at the market of women that men have available to them, you only did it once and it was 5 years ago. Okay, I guess. Or you were a stripper, but you gave that up. Okay, I guess. Uh, it's not necessarily, it's trending to be more accepted, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have a negative effect on the traditional getting married, nuclear family, that kind of thing.
So, how many women are making, have you ever looked into how much money women are making on social media in general? Because I see this trend of women quitting their jobs to be social media influencers and that sort of thing. And I just
Mhm.
wonder, are they just prostitutes or are they actually making money? Have you looked
Well,
into
I
that
mean,
at all? Go ahead.
I know, only it was a while ago. I think the average girl makes $180 a month on OnlyFans, which is not to live off of. But when you say social media, like somebody who just has a channel, like, God bless you if you can. I mean, that's kind of how we make our living. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual. But the percentage of women, I don't know how much of that is you see influencers,
Mhm.
regardless of whether it's OnlyFans or not, and they make money like, oh my God, if they can do it, I can do it. I would
Mhm.
also question how many of these women are giving up jobs that were fake and BS anyway. If you go from, oh, I'm a dog walker, I'm an assistant HR director or recruiter, and I became an influencer, it's like, well, that was kind of one shit job for another one. So I think there's probably, and you could do them both concurrently. You could go ahead and be an influencer and have a job. So it's relatively new. So yeah, you're going to see a migration from traditional forms of employment for both men and women, um, going from traditional employment to online influencers. But I think the fact, because it is online and influencing, it seems like it's a larger trend than it actually is. I
Yeah.
still think the majority of men and women are working crap jobs they don't want to work. And just like OnlyFans, it's probably in conjunction with you being a nurse or a teacher or something else.
Yeah, you're right. It says this is like 45%. Do you see this chart? Make less than
Kinda.
15,000.
Hmm.
So, it looks like around a little less than 10% make 15 to 25,000 a year. That looks probably like 7% make 25 to 30. The biggest actually, it looks 12% make 50,000 to 75,000.
These aren't insignificant figures. If I look at it, it says less. What's that top one? Less than 15,000?
Here, I'll put the thing in the chat so you can see it. Yeah, 40 less around 45%. I can't see the exact number, but it says around 45% make less than 15,000.
Okay, but if we look at those income tranches,
Mm-hmm.
a good third of the people make a living wage off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't fault them. And not all TikTok women are showing their boobs either. I'm sure they're talking about whatever it is that they talk about. I mean, I'm very pro people going online, becoming an influencer if you can, because yeah, it's a great gig, it's easy, and corporate employment sucks. But that's kind of impressive. So it might actually be a little bit. I mean,
here it is.
Yeah, we'd have to do some research to do it. But this looks like, yeah, it's not an unviable option to go and become an influencer, it seems.
48% earned less than 15,000, 9% earned between 15 and 25,000, 7% earned between 25 and 35,000, 5% earned 35 to 50,000, 11% earned between 50 and 75,000, 5% earned between 75 and 100,000, 6% earned between 100 and 150K, and 7% earned more than 200,000. Based on those numbers, the median salary is somewhere between 15 and 25,000.
So roughly 30% of people on TikTok make a living wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't blame them. It's again, depending on, okay, is it lewd? Is it rated X material or not? I think that's almost irrelevant. It's that you get paid to do that. And in some cases you get paid a hell of a lot more than what you do with your college degree. So it's an option for many women and many men to do this.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of where things are going, where I just wonder if people that don't have an online brand, will they be left behind in some way, whether it's like romantically, financially, etc., like networking.
If boy, that's a good question. If you have a good skill or a trade, again, why I always emphasize getting a good degree. No, you know who doesn't worry about this? Surgeons. Surgeons don't worry about this. Nurse practitioners don't worry about this. Engineers don't worry about this. Tradesmen and tradeswomen, the few women that do go into trades, don't worry about it. But yeah, it may be going in. Well, here's the other thing. I don't think white collar work in general going forward is going to be viable for most people. It's just not worth it going to get the education required. The pay isn't there. They're trying to outsource everything overseas and trying to replace everything with AI already. Beforehand, it wasn't acceptable. So yeah, for young people especially, I've talked about this with Gen Z, you either need an unassailable trade or skill, or you're going to have to become self-employed. And since the majority of commerce is now being done online, yeah, you might as well start with your own personal brand. You might as well start. I mean, not everyone. I did the math. I think the United States economy can support 2.2 million full-time content creators based on ad revenue and super chats and donations and all that. That's not everybody. So only a select few are going to be lucky enough to make a living like that. But yeah, going down the road, and you better be careful what you put on your websites and your social media early on. If you want to become an influencer, yeah, it's almost like you're going to need a digital reputation or even a brand so that you are simply known. It's like, oh yeah, I heard it. You stand a better shot of getting a job or a contract, having a YouTube channel where you got your network established than you would sending a resume, because your resume it's just lost to the sea of resumes. But if you have, like, you're a regular commenter on a channel, you have your own channel, you have your own social media, I think that, yeah, you're not wrong about that.
So the other thing I was wondering, I think that's going to mean privacy is going to be a thing of the past, because even if I go to like an event, there's cameras everywhere. There's they're taking pictures of you, cameras, like not even because of my YouTube stuff, just because like they want to market the events and stuff. And I'm like, so if this becomes a significant portion of people, which already kind of is, that are making money off of TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, like, I just wonder how we're going to interact in like 5 years, you know?
Like in a personal level, or
I'll try to explain this. Like, if you go to any party with people under 35, let's say, all of the girls,
okay.
like, they bring out drinks. All the girls have their phones out, right? They all record the
Uh-huh.
drinks coming out. The
Uh-huh.
boyfriend has to take a picture of the girl on, like, you know how they make fun of the boyfriends that take the new marketing for the new boyfriend?
Mm,
Like, they take picture of the date, not the guy. And I was just
right.
wondering if more people start to become employed by this. I just wonder if there's going to be some sort of difference in social interaction that maybe I don't see coming, that I don't see
Y-
now. Yeah, go ahead.
you know what I think it's going to be? It's going to be like theater or acting.
Mhm.
Everyone's on a stage. It just happens to be the theater is the internet, and then behind the scenes, you're going to meet different people through your social media activities behind the scenes at your job that you actually like and date. And you kind of mentioned it already. How many female influencers already are married or have a boyfriend, and they have their act in their show? Now obviously their main marketing shtick is that they want men to think that they're single, so they get super chats and they buy things and stuff like that. But I think just like theater or acting, you're doing a performance, but it is an industry. It actually is an industry, and thank God it's mostly a self-employed industry, because you can date. Like right now, if I wanted to go date some cutesy female influencer, she does the production work for somebody I know, I can do it because there's no HR director. We don't work for a corporation. And I think just like any other industry or profession, you're going to meet people that you like. So behind the scenes,
Mm.
you will. I don't think for the influencer community, it's going to really have an effect. Where I
Well,
do think it's going to have an effect are the normies who have a regular job and then just got like whatever their token Instagram account, and they have now a track record of them acting like a girl boss circa 2022. That might have a negative effect. But for the people who are like pros and that's their job, yeah, I think if
oh,
anything, it introduces you to way more interesting people.
no, I totally agree, but what I'm thinking is, okay, this is what I'm thinking is the new relationships are just going to be like brand building. And I think Rolo talks about this a little bit, but like, cuz now, like, if a woman's employed on social media, now the husband has to like be her marketing. Not has to, but like she's just going to torture him with all the TikTok trends and stuff.
Unless you know, like, unless she's not okay, as long now we got to talk about what type of content we're creating. If it's X-rated content, yeah, that's going to probably cause
No,
some
no, not
problems.
not
Yeah.
X. So on TikTok, it's mostly
Mm,
lifestyle content. Like,
okay.
that's women talking on their phones. This is what I eat in a day. Da, 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 da. And I was thinking about how like the future is going to be men sacrificing privacy to date the women employed on TikTok, because it's a mostly women female app. And I think it's mostly attractive women making the money. I could be wrong. This is just where my brain, I'm like, this is where I see this is going.
Yeah, but I don't see that necessarily would ruin the relationship or friend. Because let's be perfectly honest. Let's say you're one of these successful TikTok influencers or YouTube.
Mhm.
If you are successful, you cannot do it without a brain. You are a professional. Let's remove, for the sake of simplicity, sexual content. All right. So you are a micro internet celebrity. You are making good money, and you talk about whatever. Oh, look, I took this sushi and I went on this thing. A day in the life of. I don't see how that makes a husband or a significant other. I don't see how it makes their lives hell. Like your wife is a performer to a certain extent, and okay, maybe you got to help her with the marketing or the IT, or maybe not. I don't see why, if you had a
Yeah.
woman who was a successful TikToker, why does that prevent the guy from being
You you
whatever, an
you
accountant?
haven't spent a lot of time on TikTok, have you?
No, I try to avoid it because it looks like hell.
I think you would know what I'm talking about if you spent more time. You do not need a brain to get good at TikTok. YouTube's a different animal. I think you need. I've done both. I had a million on both, and I'll tell you, TikTok, like, you can make, okay. You know what? I'm gonna show you one of the top TikTokers in the world.
Okay.
And you
Well,
can
while you're looking that
yeah,
up, let me ask you this.
yeah,
So,
go
oh, Dan is his name. Men Need to Be Heard. You know his channel?
ahead. I don't think so, but sometimes I've
So
seen it and I forget the name. Go ahead.
there was this psychopathic crazy eye gal who said that if we had matriarchy, then women would give men sex. And it was such an obvious troll job, but she went viral. It
Mhm.
was covered. Then you find out she's got a husband and all that, of course. Now, that was TikTok and it was toxic and it was all a lie. But I guess what you're asking is it possible for someone to have a healthy relationship with someone who writes for a tabloid? Because that's all TikTok kind of is. I know it's looking into the abyss. I know it's just some atrocious, catty, horrific behavior, but if you know it's all theater and performance, like at the end of the day, what does it matter?
Well, yeah. I just what I foresee is women using the followings to attack the men they date. Like when it goes south. I've already seen it. I mean, there's like breakup videos on TikTok.
Mhm.
Sandwich, thank you for the $10. But I'm just gonna show you. This is like the top girl on TikTok on the right.
Okay.
This is
All
this
right.
is what they would post. That girl, I'm telling you. So I met her when I was on TikTok, and she got offered $100,000 to follow someone back on Instagram, and said
uh,
no because she was making so much money to click a
right.
button. And
Okay,
this
but
is what
let
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
so okay, I know this is horrible.
Yeah.
This is horrible. She can't be dumb, right? She's got to know that the video quality was good. She knows how to market it, right?
No,
I
I don't
you think okay, so
I've
you've been
met
in the field I
them.
have.
Yeah,
Are
I've
they
met
are they
them.
just pretty dumb girls and they're annoying as fuck?
No, it's not that, like, what it is the thing is, so because it's marketed to women, right?
Okay.
Women don't like to see overly attractive women on screen, and women like women that are relatable, not competent. Because when women pick content, like that's why all our movies suck now. Like because they're marketed to women, right?
You are not wrong, but
Yeah,
go on.
and
Yes.
so what happens is all these average women get gassed up on social media, and they can make all this money, like, doing pretty much nothing. And so you don't have to be that good, because if you're too good, the girls aren't gonna like you. They're not gonna watch. It's a mostly female app.
Saying then is the allure of social media, making it on social media, and because, at least as it pertains to TikTok, women do not like exceptionally attractive women or exceptionally intelligent women,
Yes.
that one, the social media influencing environment becomes bad for the women to consume it as it pertains to their potential for current and future relationships, and
Yeah.
also the women it attracts to become influencers themselves are also then uh, ch- there's a
Yeah.
selection bias that they are dumb and teehee and isn't this
Yes.
popular, but then
Yes.
it reinforces it to they actually maybe believe their own bullshit,
Yep.
and then that has okay, but then what guy is going to stick with that like for a while, for a long time? Like in other words, both scenarios we're painting are possible. They're not mutually exclusive. I think there are very intelligent, savvy women who they could even do sex work online, who are very market savvy and they have a relationship with a husband. But you're saying that this almost becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where the social media turns women into even worse, undateable, unmarriageable
Correct.
type of women. Since everyone is
And
attracted to it, that is what's going
correct.
to it's
And
going
it's
to
gonna
turn
get
the
worse.
yes.
I think it's gonna get worse because I think women are gonna start making good money, and it's like then now, like, I'd have to show you some of these, but a lot of these things they do with their boyfriends are just like humiliation rituals for the boyfriend. Wait, couples TikTok. Like, it's like the woman, I'd have to find couples TikTok trend, but it's
Right,
like
but is it real?
Well, but that's the problem. When is it? So maybe it's not like there's like an on camera and off camera, but when the camera's in your home, and like that's the thing, like some of the women, when they break up with the guys, they have to make him an abusive guy or whatever. And that
Oh,
pays them
okay.
too. Like when Zach Bryan and Brianna Chicken Fry broke up, because he
Hmm.
dated a TikToker and she was like this big, she's at Barstool Sports. She's like a big name there. And when they broke up, she did this whole campaign about how abusive he was. And it was such bullshit. I mean, and so I was just thinking, I'm like, because that's now they can't look like a bad person to their audience. So they gotta be the victim, obviously. And then all the
Right.
women that are also got dumped because like they spend a lot of time on TikTok. So yeah, that's just how I see it going. I could be wrong, but
I
yeah.
I'll tell you this: social media definitely is worsening women for marriage material if that's what they're interested in. This is not good for the nuclear family. It's not good for tradition. It's not good for the economy. Not good for society. Um, but I don't. What I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. They One, what are you going to do about it? Two, it
Nothing.
might have it already been there. And three, if no one is that interested in getting married and tradition and all that anyway, does it really matter?
I It's not to say it's good or bad. I'm just interested in how it's going to change the dynamics in the next 5 years because I wonder if a significant portion of the female population will be employed by TikTok. I actually would be curious to see what percent are employed now because I don't
Or
know.
even forget employed, they just have an account. Like I'll tell you right now, I'm an old man and ha 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 boomer, but these TikTok videos, I don't watch them anymore because I realized they were all BS. These provocative agitprop, were like, oh my god, the guy didn't open the door, that kind of thing. Um, I don't believe them about 85% of the time. I think they're just doing it to provoke and be a dog whistle to get clicks and rage bait. But even if they were doing that consciously, and no, I didn't really believe anything I said, I'd be like, you're so degrading. You're so unethical. You would do this? It would be like you wrote for one of them, those girly filth magazines back in the day, like Glamour or Teen Beat, and uh, almost like what's her name? You ever hear of E. Jean?
Mm-mm.
She's old. She's suing Donald Trump for forcible bedroom not fun time. I don't know how that lawsuit is going, but she wrote these. Okay, let me rephrase it. She claimed people would write in called "Dear E. Jean," this horrible, statistically impossible thing happened to me. How do I solve it? And you listen to a handful of these, you realize no, this is bullshit. They didn't write in. This is Dear Penthouse Forum. So it's
Mm.
misleading. But if there's so much money to be made, or there's enough of a promise of a hope of money to be made, that women engage in this, that's indicative of a bad person. Like that's really bad. That's where you actually do become a grifter. And I'm going to lie and engage in professional wrestling theater just so I can make money. And usually it's probably going to be about dating and the sexes, so that when a guy all of a sudden finds out, oh yeah, you were a TikTok girl. Yes, I agree with you. It is going to lessen, it's going to harm women's abilities in general, but especially those who engage in this action, this behavior. It is going to harm their ability to find a quality guy in the future. I think that is 100% true. And you don't even have to like show your boobies on the internet. It's just it's kind of shameful behavior. You're lying.